Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. We had some great responses to the Vinayaka Vrata quiz 2023 by Karishye. Participants from 29 different states had given answers with so much of dedication and love. Their devotion to Ganesha is the biggest gift. Let us now look at each of the answers one by one. Please understand that we are not better than you or more knowledgeable than you in any way. This is just an effort to create interest, especially among kids and young adults, to learn more about our deities, our culture, and the Vedic concepts. If you find your answer better than ours, it might certainly be so. And if you find something new and something interesting from these answers, please do take them and share this knowledge with your loved ones. So the first question that we asked was, what is a Vrata or a Vratam? The answer of this lies in the Ashtanga Yoga system, where a Vrata is an essential step where one performs certain experiments upon one's own body and mind to start creating a sense of control. The idea is that you need to create the ability of your mind and body to focus on one particular aspect and slowly cleanse away certain impurities such as ego, jealousy, greed, anger, and so on, so that in the spiritual sadhana you can rise further. It is for this reason that so many different vratas are carefully designed and laid across the year, such as Varalakshmi Vrata, Vinayaka Vratam, and Satyanarayana Vrata, and so on. So, Vrata is nothing but an attempt to cleanse one aspect of one's body and mind. The second question that was asked in the quiz was, what is the purpose of celebrating Vinayaka Vrata or Ganesha Chaturdhi? Now, this question is a follow-up to the first question. If you get the first question right, which is if you understand that Vratam is about fixing a certain aspect in one's own self, mind, personality, and so on, then Vinayaka Vratam comes with a specific purpose, which is to get rid of one of the biggest obstacles that we face in spiritual sadhana, which is one's own ego. The idea is to get rid of ego, any aspects in our life that trigger this ego, and that is the main purpose of Ganesh Chaturdhi. I would urge you to go back and look at all the different stories that come in the Vratakalpa, which is how Vinayaka got the rights of being the first deity to be worshipped, the story of how Chandra Darshana was forbidden by Parvati Devi, or the issues that Lord Krishna faces because of seeing the Chavithi Chandra, and so on. And if you notice, these are different aspects that happen in our own life which trigger ego in a certain way. Like when people point finger at us for something that we haven't done, which is like a wrong blame put upon us, triggers ego from our side. We see it happening in our family setups as well. Similarly, the other stories as well. So I would definitely request either this year or the next year to make those mappings in your own mind, and you will see how this Vrata is trying to take away the ego aspect in our personality. The question number 3 was, it's one of our favorite question. Shiva is God, therefore wouldn't he know that the kid was Parvati Devi's creation? Why did he behead him then? The answer to this, and similarly to many questions that come from the happenings that are in the Puranas, is that the actors in the story are not common people like us. The Shiva and Parvati, these are like primordial forces that created the universe. They are amshas of the creator himself or herself, right? So an act that they perform is not merely just a story between people. Shiva definitely knew that the boy standing in front of the abode was Parvati's creation, Parvati also knew about the happenings that are going to come upon this boy when she asked him to stand outside and guard. Every story in Puranas has three concepts, three things that it is trying to do. One, uh, they are trying to tie up all the loose ends to create a karmic balance. So there was a Rakshasa who had a certain boon that he would only die from a person or a creation that had already been killed once and again got reborn, and various other conditions like it should not be a human body completely, and so on and so on. So in order to create such and create something like that, Vinayaka had to come upon, and therefore this boy was created out of Parvati Devi, and Shiva came and removed the head and put it back again. And that new Vinayaka with that new form of an elephant head was now suitable to tie up the loose end, which is the Rakshasa. This is the story aspect of it. There is also a sadhana aspect of it, uh, which cannot be explained in a short period of time and has to be learned Gurumuktaha. But just to give you a sense, uh, Shakti alone is not enough for one to reach greater heights. By having excess power, ego can blind us, which is what happened with the boy in this case. And Shiva, who is the representation of stillness and wisdom, that aspect has to get onto the head. So your head has to be calm and serene and full of wisdom, and your body or your actions have to be full of energy and rigor and power. And this combination is what can make you as the leader of a certain aspect. Again, this is a very simplistic way of explaining it. When one gets into actual yoga sadhana, these stories and the slokas and the mantras used here have deeper significance. The next question is, what does Ganesh Chaturthi mean to you as an individual? There is no need for us to answer this question. To each of us, we all have our own private one-is-to-one way of connecting with Ganesha, and what Ganesha means to each of us is very different. We had some lovely answers, especially from the kids, saying that they like how they make the clay Ganesha and they are so excited when Vinayak Chavithi comes upon. And after worshipping Ganesha for 3 days, they go with their tiny hands and do the Nimurjan. Listening and hearing to these, reading such answers was a pleasure. For us here at Karishye, and for me personally, what does Ganesh Chaturthi mean? It acts as a reminder every year to recheck where ego is rising, in what sort of aspects in my life, in what sort of situations am I reacting unnecessarily, where does that self still exist? Because end of the day, during every puja, my aim or the aim personally is to reach a point where I as an individual is no longer existing, and completely there is a dissolution into Ishvara. The question after that was, did Shiva and Parvati worship Ganesha during their wedding ritual? A lot of you got this answer right. Yes, Shiva and Parvati did worship Ganesha, but not the Vinayaka in the story, but the Mahaganapati. So I think this is a very important concept for everyone who goes to temples or anyone in Sanatana Dharma to understand, that when we say Shiva or when we say Vishnu or Krishna or Devi or Parvati, Saraswati, they have taken certain forms, but that doesn't mean that form alone is a representation of their true energy. Similarly, Vinayaka or Ganapati with the elephant head is not his only form. Mahaganapati is a fundamental force which was there during creation itself. You can look at the other video series that we did, which is still going on. There are 5 sessions are done. There are 2 more sessions pending, where we are explaining each and every concept about our deities, our Puranas, and explaining how this whole concept of bhakti even came into existence. And in that, we have clearly explained what Ganesha stands for and what Vishnu stands for, what is that fundamental part of the universe that they govern. So, definitely, Shiva and Parvati had to worship that Mahaganapati in their wedding ritual. Even Brahma had to worship Ganesha or Ganpati before even starting this creation. So, time immemorial, Vinayak Ganesha is always there and has to be worshipped. The last question, why do we perform Nimarjan to Ganesha? Again, just like in Puranas, every puja of ours designed by the rishis also has multiple layers of it. So, one, of course, the symbolic truth that what comes from creation has to go back to the creator. So, when we make a Ganesha idol from the river clay and we again do an immersion back into the river, it dissolves and becomes a part of the river bank again. It is a symbolism that we have to go back from where we came from and therefore better utilize our time in more of spiritual sadhana and thinking about the divine. But apart from that, the patri that are used in the puja, the Ayurvedic herbs that are brought for the patri puja, when they go back to the riverbed along with the clay, they act as they are able to purify the water. They are helping cattle in fighting a lot of diseases and so on. So this was one social aspect that was taught by the rishis during those days. But one should remember that the concepts given by the rishis are not restricted by region or season or cycle of time. Like for example, a lot of people believe that Vinayaka Chaturthi is performed during Bhadrapada Masa only because it is a rainy season. So let us say global warming or some climatic change comes upon and the rainy season shifts, or imagine you are in a country where rainy season is not during Bhadrapada Masa. Does that mean that you should not perform Vinayaka Vrata during that time? See, that is not the only aspect. Yes, if everything coincides, if you are able to do puja at the right time and it also acts as a helper to the society and the environment around you, then that is a perfect combination. But even if there is no rains, even if you are not able to do an immersion back into the river, still the original concept of the vrata to refine your own personality and your connect with Ganesha, that you need to keep growing year on year, is what is never going to change irrespective of where you are. And we should always keep that aspect in mind and not get distracted by only the superficial things, because in Sanatana Dharma, more than the material, it is the intangible that is always given highest preference. So that those were the 6 questions. Now I'm very happy to announce the winners. We had 3 winners from Dubai. Aishwarya Vishwanath was the winner in the 12 to 17 years category. In the 25 to 34 years, we have Hemalakshmi from Srikakulam. And finally, from 35 to 44 years category, we have Rukmini ji from Vijayanagaram. Congrats to all the winners and congrats to each and every participant, because the idea is to think more about Ganesha, think more about, introspect about the different pujas that we do and the layers that are hidden within them. Many of us are not fortunate to have gone through a Gurukul system, so these things are not taught to us when we were children. But now is the time, using internet, using technology, and using the knowledge of gurus who still live among us, to understand these things and pass them on to the next generations and so on. That is the intention with which we have set up Karishye. You can go to our website karishye.co to find out who we are, what we do, and we hope to see you soon in the next quiz. Thank you.